Morning, John here for a Thursday. Gloomy old day out there today. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you the items that came from the Meeden set that I got with the French easel. It had gouache, it had acrylic, it had watercolour and it had oil paints. Today I thought I'd show you the watercolour and the gouache together because obviously they kind of complement each other. And I'm going to show you what they're like, what the colours are in the sets. I'm also going to use the watercolour paper, the cold press watercolour paper that comes with the set. And we're going to have a quick look at the palette as well. And the watercolour brushes. In this instance, I'm going to use the watercolour brushes for the gouache. Although you could use the acrylic brushes that come with the set as well for gouache as well. So you get the best of both worlds with the acrylic brushes. So let's go over and have a look. But first, I'm hoping you're going to indulge me. I'm just going to show you my latest work. It's a ballpoint pen. I use some Languo ballpoint pens for this. They have 10 colours in each pen, and there's actually a total of about 60 colours altogether, which is amazing for ballpoint pen. So I just thought I'd show you that, and you know, just show you that off screen I do stuff as well. But let's go and have a look at these items, shall we? So what I have here are the Meeden watercolour paintbrush set and the gouache set of 24, the watercolour set of 24, the watercolour paper, 10 sheets in there, 300 GSM, which is rather good, and a plastic paint palette. And we're going to have a look at each one of these items because they come with the Meeden French easel set. I've unwrapped everything. Every single item comes cellophane wrapped. Let's have a look at the watercolour brushes first. Now, they come in this nice box. I'm not sure you'd keep this box too long, but I think you'd want to if you could. Now, they're quite pretty brushes, aren't they? Not that that means anything. Let's have a look at the bristles. Oh yeah, they're nice and soft. Yes. Yeah, they'll be very nice, I think. Yeah, there's the fan brush. What we have in here is 10. We have a size 1 and 2 round brush. Let's take the tabs off. A 1 and 2 round brush. Obviously you'd need to dip these in water first just to clean them up. Then we have a number 4 round brush and a number 3 round brush. So we have 1, 2, 3 and 4 in round brushes. We then have a number 2 flat brush, a number 6 and a number 5. Oh well, we have from 1 till 6 in round brushes. Well, that's handy. And then we have a couple of flat brushes, a 2 and a 6, and a big large number 2. I suppose you'd call that a wash brush. Not really sure what you'd call that. It's a flat brush anyway. So they come in this nice box, and we'll be testing them out in a minute or two. Let's put them to one side for the moment. So here we have the gouache set, whatever you want to call it. I call it gouache. And it says great coverage, smooth brush strokes and brilliant colours and non-toxic. On the back of the box it gives you all the colours, and it also gives you the pigment names and a 3-star rating for light fastness. The majority of these are, bar 2 I think, are number 3 star or 3+ mark. So that must be quite good. And anybody that gives you the pigments and a star rating and colours usually are pretty good. So we're going to test them in a little while with the watercolours. The one thing that does confuse me is that down the bottom here it says the 3-star rating, 2-star rating, And it also gives you these little picture codes. Right, now that's opaque, that's semi-opaque, and that's transparent. Now I'm guessing, because I know gouache is generally opaque, that because each of these colours are pretty dark to print, they've had to use a white box. That doesn't mean it's transparent, it just means that they've had to substitute that for the dark mark, because the dark mark wouldn't show. And the reason I know that is because if you look here, there's a semi-opaque one, and that also uses a white box instead of the black box down here. So don't be confused by that. Every single one of them is opaque. I think in this case they'd probably be better off if they used a letter like a T or a O or an S and an O, just so it saved that bit of confusion. Let's have a look at the colours inside. That's not a bad range, is it? Now, if they adhere to the tube colours, they're going to be some really nice colours. These might be a bit vibrant, perhaps. That's not a bad green. I love this blue if it comes out like that. I do believe it does, but I'm going to have to check that. And burnt sienna, burnt umber, grey. Let's have a look at the watercolours. Now, I'm going to compare these to the gouache, and there is a reason. And these say high extensibility, bright colours, versatility, non-toxic again. And on the back, they've printed each one individually. So the light fastest chart rating down the bottom here does adhere to each one of these, I believe. Now I find that a little bit confusing again, and the reason for that is because I know watercolours are meant to be transparent. So I'm going to guess that once again they've substituted the black for the white, if that makes sense. So instead of using this white open box because it won't be seen, they've used the black open box, because let's face it, all watercolours are transparent in the main. Usually white is opaque. Oh no, I stand corrected, because there is one here. So what we're saying is all of these colours, bar the ultramarine blue, are either opaque or semi-opaque. Well, I'm glad I noticed that. So semi-transparent, semi-opaque, kind of same thing. So that is quite confusing, because if you have a opaque watercolour, generally it's called gouache. So I do find that a little bit confusing, and I think that Meeden do need to look at that and get that sorted out. But let's have a look at the colours inside. Again, quite a nice selection. Now, I've had a look at these previously, and I can tell you that most of these colours, from the gouache and from the watercolour, they are the same. However, there is one difference from what I can see, and it is the raw umber is in the gouache, the raw umber is in the watercolour, but they've replaced it with a grey in the gouache. So that's probably quite a good idea, if I'm being honest. So what you could say is, if you were using your watercolours and you wanted something a bit opaque, some people use gouache with watercolours, you could actually use these and know you should be getting the same colour. So that's quite handy to know, and quite a good idea, in fact. And yeah, I do like that idea. So that's that. We'll test them in a second. Here I have the watercolour block, and this one is a 10.2 by 7, so 10.7 more or less. It's 10 sheets of 300 GSM. I'm not sure what that is in pounds for our American friends, but I would imagine that's pretty high. On the back there's nothing, and you open it up and you're faced with what is a very nice texture. I hope you can see that. It's got a very nice texture to it. You'll see it more when I start painting. However, the block is not glued all the way round. So you will have to stretch this dependent on the amount of water you're using. So if you're using a lot of water, it's best to stretch it. If you're not using much water, a 300 GSM watercolour paper should be okay, but you'll see that when I start painting on it. I'm just going to do some swatches of the colours and let you know what they're like. And quickly, just to show you, there's this plastic watercolour palette. Now it has 17 openings. There's 24 colours, so you're going to have to suffice around the outsides there somewhere, and it has a little finger hole for it. So that's quite handy to use, and at some point I will be using that. But for this test, because we're going to use a few colours, I'm going to bring my ceramic watercolour. So which one should we test first? Should we test the gouache first? Why not? Let's get a few colours out, shall we? We'll get some that are slightly different. We'll use the white. We'll definitely use the white. So we'll use that one, and we'll use the black so we can see exactly what they're like. And then we'll choose a couple of colours from in between. We'll go for this cobalt blue because I just like the colour. And we'll also go for something completely different, a vermilion. So some popular colours there. Let's use them just to test to see what they're like. When you open the tubes, there is no seal on the tube, so be aware of that, so you don't have to poke a hole into it. It just comes straight out as it is, and all the information that you need is on the tube. It gives you the pigment name or number, and it tells you whether it's 2 or 3 stars and whether it's opaque or not. And in this case it's the white box, which generally means transparent, but in this case it does mean opaque. So let's squeeze a little bit of that out onto there. Seems quite a nice consistency there. And let's squeeze a little bit of the red out. Again, not sealed, but that doesn't matter. And let's have a look at this lovely blue. I hope it is that colour, because that's a beautiful blue. It looks like it is. Wow, look at that. That is a great colour. I'm excited to use that one. And let's squeeze some white out. The white seemed a little bit more liquidy. It might be that it's been sitting in the tube a lot longer. I'm going to use one of the flat brushes. Don't forget to wash your brush before you even start. Alright, because if there's any glue on it, not that I think there is in this case, but if there is, it will wash that glue off. And not only that, if you wash it out and you've got wet into it, it'll also protect your bristles from the colours here. So let's have a look at this black, shall we? Oh, that's a nice texture. Very nice texture. Almost feels like acrylic. Let's have a look. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. That's got a beautiful texture to it. Let's add a little bit of water to it. Let's see where we go. It's very opaque. Very opaque. Let's add some more water. See if we can get it down a bit. No. It's becoming more fluid and fluent the more water you add, but it's maintaining that lovely opaqueness. What a brilliant opaqueness there is there. That is superb. Very impressed. And it feels, I mean, I've got that on there. It feels like this is going to go a long, long way. Let's just add a little bit of water and nothing else. Even then, it's keeping up the opaqueness. Look at that. That's fantastic. Wow. Really like that. Really like that. I've used gouache just a few times, but I really do like that. Let's wash the brush out. Give it a dry, maintaining some of that colour, look. Yeah, that's clean. Does help actually if you're using gouache to have a separate palette, separate water trough. Let's have a look at this red. We'll put it on as it is to begin with. Wow. Meeden, you really do some lovely stuff, I have to say. I really do like this. Very opaque again. Let's add a little bit of water. Just a little bit. Again, the opaqueness is fantastic. You can see it's getting a touch thinner, but not much. So this is going to go a long, long way. Add more water. It's now starting to get a little transparent, but not much. Not much at all. That is superb. Again, let's just add water again and see what it does. What I like about this, I think, is that it doesn't feel chalky. It feels like lovely silky paint. I've used gouache in the past, and it does feel a tad chalky, but this doesn't. So let's have a look at this blue colour. In fact, the paint is really finding it hard to wash out of the brush, look. So that's got to tell you something, I would think. Maybe it's just staining, maybe it's a bit more than that. Maybe it's because it's just very good paint. So let's have a look at this blue. Let's put it on as it is. Wow, I do love this. This is going to be great for skies. A touch more. It seems to be a little bit thicker than the other two, but that's not a problem. You just add a little bit of water to it. Let's just add a little bit of water to it now. It's still keeping up that opaqueness. It's not going quite as far as the other colour, but the opaqueness of these gouaches is well, second to none as far as I can see here, and I love the texture of them. This is absolutely superb. Look at that. Let's add a lot more water. Get it down to a semi-transparent state. So these are all opaque, very definitely opaque. And you can add quite a bit of water to them, so they're going to go quite a long way. Well, very long way. I mean, look at all that paint there. I've nearly covered this page, and I used a tiny bit of paint there. And it's still haven't used half of it. That is fantastic. Wow. Look at that. I get very excited, don't I? It's because I like using paints. Can't help myself. And I will only tell you the truth. If something isn't very good, I will tell you. So let's use this white. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it over the top of the black. Right. Look at that. Very opaque. I mean, I'm not even sure that the black is fully dry yet. Wow. You can see a little bit of black for it. It's now starting to mix because I played about with it a bit too much there. But that's going to cover that. No problems. Absolutely no problems. The more you play with it, the more you're going to reactivate the colours underneath anyway. So that is just one of those things. You just have to be careful, especially if you haven't let it dry for too long. Well, 10 out of 10 for them. I love them. I love them. They do get a bit more transparent the more water you add, but up here, so opaque. It's quite unbelievable, if I'm being honest. They're like a very fluid acrylic in some ways. I'm getting quite excited about using them. So, we're going to have a look at the watercolours now. Shall we use the same colours? Because it would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it? We can test to see the opaqueness of the watercolours. Go for vermilion. Identical in colour. Identical. These feel a little bit more fluid again. Let's go for that blue. Where is that blue? It says cobalt blue. There isn't a cobalt. Oh, yes, there is. Ah, now that's in a different colour tube. So I wonder if that's a different colour. Yes, it is. It's kind of the same but darker. And let's have a look at this white. You can feel that they are more liquefied. So let's just have a test and see what we get with them. I think it's wise to use the same brush again. My water is quite dirty, so just bear with me on that. Right, let's start with the white. See if that goes over. It should be opaque, so we'll see if that goes over. Yeah, goes over lovely. So that's it. That's actually a really nice white. It might be because this has dried a bit more now. Yeah, not bad at all. Not bad at all. You can feel a difference in the texture of the paints, whereas this is drying up matte. That's going to dry up probably a lot, quite so matte, I would say. It feels silkier. Let's have a look at this blue. I'm going to put it on. Yes, completely different colour. So let's add some water to it like you would in a watercolour. It doesn't go as far either by the look of it. But then that might be because I've took too little on the brush. Let's add water to it and make it into a proper watercolour. Quite a thick watercolour. Yeah, that's nice. I'm no watercolour or gouache expert, but I can tell you enough to make an informed decision. That's nice as well. Yeah, I like that. Let's add a little bit more water. See where we go. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. I haven't had anything bad from Meeden at all. I'm very impressed with them, if I have to be perfectly honest. Which is really good. So we go for this. It's exactly the same colour, maybe a touch darker in fact. Let's add some water to it, turn it into watercolour. Well, turn it into watercolour, turn it into a more fluent watercolour. Nice. Nice. Again, that goes quite a way. That's really nice. I really like these. Now let's do the black. Let's just turn it straight into watercolour. Put some water with it. Of course you're not going to use much black in watercolour, are you? So, you know, you probably only use it for details, I would expect, because you'll be finding other ways of making a black. But it's always handy to have it. Better to have it than not, I say. So, the paints themselves, absolutely 10 out of 10. I think these are going to be really good for people that are beginning as well, because I think that, I believe that because of the way they feel, they're going to be more manageable. I know that sounds a bit strange, but I just think that people are going to get on better with them, because they have a bit more opaqueness to them than a normal watercolour. And I just think that's going to help. And you can turn it transparent. And the gouache is sublime. I really do like it. Now, if I was going to mark these out of 10, as it stands, just having done these swatches and looked at the colours and felt the texture, definitely 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 all day long. I'm very, very impressed. And look at that white, how that's covering that gouache. That's amazing. That white for a watercolour is really impressive. Again, you wouldn't generally use white, but you can. There's nothing to stop you. You make your own rules wherever you are. So, from the easel set to the individual sets, they are fantastic colours. The brushes felt great, or this brush felt great. Equally as good as the acrylic ones that I've been using that I rave about. This is such a good set. You've got the French easel, you've got 4 lots of different paints, you've got 3 lots of different brushes, you've got palettes, you've got canvases, you've got watercolour paper. This set really is worth every bit of the money you pay. And don't forget, again, I'm not trying to sell you it, I'm just telling you my thoughts. Again, don't forget you have my discount code, JRE Meeden, MEEDAN 163. So use that if you want this set. You are not going to go wrong with this set. Absolutely 100% for beginners and intermediates. Professionals, yes, you can use this. However, I think maybe you're looking at higher rated watercolour paints. But if you want to save money, go for these. These are fantastic. You can turn out, so I'm really looking forward to using these in Vengeance on a proper painting. Fantastic. And the other good thing is, I'm probably going to let these dry now and we'll see what they're like when I reactivate them. With regard to that gouache blue that I really like and the watercolour blue that I really like, the watercolour was a lot darker, you noticed, and my belief is probably, almost definitely, it's because there's more white in the gouache, and that's what gives it its opaqueness. They are the same pigment colours, so it's definitely got to be that. That blue you can change into that other blue just by the additional white colour in it. But then you're turning it in kind of gouache, aren't you? So using these in conjunction with each other would be an absolutely fantastic idea. That's just my opinion. I'm not a watercolour purist, and I'm not going to argue with a watercolour purist. But if you want to turn out a really good picture, you do whatever it takes, don't you? The paper in this set is really nice too, and has a lovely texture to it, and I think you'll thoroughly enjoy using these paints on that paper. Or any other paints for that matter. Very nice paper. Well, I'm trying my best to hide all the mess that's behind me. Well, it's a shed that I'm in, and it's my studio. It's a 12 by 10 foot shed. It's my studio. I've decked it out. It's a few years old now, and the more I go on, the more I'm filling up my studio. There soon won't be room for me, so keep up with the YouTube videos while I can. Anyway, wanted to say about this set, you won't go wrong with this set. please take my advice. It is only my advice and my thoughts, and you know, I wouldn't tell you something was good if it wasn't, and these are good. Please don't forget to subscribe. It does help the channel. I've gone flying over the 2,000 mark now, which is amazing, which means since I got monetized, I've actually gained 1,000 or more subscribers. So thank you to everybody that subscribed. I'm glad that you find me watchable. I don't like watching myself, but obviously you do, and you know, thanks for that. I do appreciate it. Hopefully next year we'll get to the 3,000 before Christmas. Well, we got to the 2,000 before Christmas, didn't we? Hopefully we'll get to the 3,000 maybe at the end of the summer. That would be nice. So thanks for watching. And don't forget, I have memberships. I've got 4 members at the moment. Annie Stone, Sue Wright, Angie Shaw. Sure, you'll have to tell me how to say that, Angie. And I have Joy Man. Joy Man is on my awesome artist level. So thank you for that, Joy. I do appreciate that. And don't forget, you get all your perks and don't forget to use them. That's all for today, and maybe I'll see you at the weekend. Hopefully you get 1 or 2 more videos in before Christmas. You never know. But until then, please have yourselves a great day, great week, and a great year, what's left of it. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.